which is like the most college project style thing I've ever heard. Like, I guess that going to college and going into debt is worth it. This is living proof that college projects work. Welcome back to Modi Brews. I'm Modi. Today we're drinking something really special. Firestone Walker's 28th anniversary ale. It's a limited release annual beer that's highly touted in the craft beer world. So get a drink of your choice, get comfortable, and let's pour this beer. So this actually isn't just one beer. It's a blend of 7 different barrel-aged beers. And every year, Firestone Walker will invite local winemakers to blend the beer. And this one's comprised of stouts, barley wines, and Belgian quads, all aged in bourbon and rye barrels. So we can see here that it's got this really pretty deep ruby brown color to it. It had a tan light head that dissipated pretty quick, which is going to be pretty typical for a high ABV beer like this. This is a 12.7 and it's very wine-like. Ooh. The first thing I'm getting is this sweet caramel toffee kind of flavor. And then I'm getting this dark fruit, like raisin, like a plum raisin smell. And then it's definitely got that barrel aged, like bourbon, vanilla, like oak spice to it, with some type of like, almost like a chocolatey backbone. Wow, that's layered. This is one of the most complex beers I think I've ever had. 7 different beers all together, and it goes really well. It's working. Up front, I'm getting this really sweet, malty, almost like brown sugar toffee kind of taste. And then it quickly goes into this dark fruit raisin flavor, like a plum raisin, but I'm getting mostly raisin flavor. And that sweetness with that dark fruit flavor gets quickly like offset by this like vanilla bourbon kind of taste to it. And then it ends with this chocolatey coffee kind of bitterness that's like indicative of a stout typically. Wow. It's like velvety smooth. The texture is velvety smooth. It has this like very wine-like feel to it. Like the texture's wine-like, it feels like wine. Wow. It's really balanced for how much is going on in here. It's got a hint of that alcohol flavor, but it's not harsh. It's really mostly with that like warmth. So Firestone Walker was founded in 1996 in Paso Robles, California, which is the heart of wine country. And I know you know them because they're the people that created 805. Super popular beer from where I'm at. Their location defines them because they're famous for crossing over beer and wine techniques. They're really known for like barrel aging and blending different beers, which is kind of what we got right here. And the start of these annual beers was back in 2006. For the 10-year anniversary, they created the first one called 10. And since then, it's become an annual tradition. Now, Firestone Walker will invite their local winemaker friends over to help blend the beers. And what they do is they'll divide the winemakers into different groups, and each group of winemaker will create their own blend using the different types of beers that Firestone Walker provides for them. And then each of the winemaker groups will end up blind tasting to see which one is the best one. And then that's whatever is for the anniversary ale, which is like the most college project style thing I've ever heard. Like, you know, I guess that going to college and going and did it is worth it. This is living proof that college projects work. And this style, the barrel aging style of beer, is what you would expect to get back in like the 1800s or just before refrigeration, really, in most of beer. Because you think about it, when beer would be made, they would store it in these like wood barrels, like casks, right? You think about like on ships, on how they would have these big barrels of beer. And so it's not like these barrels are vacuum sealed or impervious to air. So as the beer's fermenting inside of these wooden casks, they're subject to be having a bunch of weird stuff going on with the fermentation. So the beers inside the casks would be funky, sour. Sometimes they'd come out good. So basically they would be blending like fresh cask ale with ale that's been in there for a while to give different beers like really complex, full body kind of flavors. Like if you were in a bar in London back in the 1800s, you'd literally see the bartender mixing beer in front of you, kind of like a cocktail. And so a really famous style for beer blending and akin to what they're doing here is a Belgian style beer called Goose. And so basically you'll have a brewmaster where they'll brew a bunch of different types of beer, and then you'll have somebody come in and they'll be the blender where they ratio the different components that the brewmaster gave them to create a specific blend. And that's kind of what we see with Firestone. They take all these expert wine makers, and you think about wine, do a lot of blending. You think about just going to the store, you find a red blend. And they really define this type of barrel aging blending. It's super cool. They literally are blending together wine, beer, and whiskey into 3 different worlds all in one glass. Overall, this is a really complex, layered beer. The first time I actually had a barrel-aged beer was Costco had a crossover with the Deschutes Brewery up in Oregon, and they created a vintage ale that had been aged in bourbon barrels, and it was really good. It was really good. I was really happy with how it was, and so when I saw this, it was a must grab. And so if you haven't tried any type of barrel aged beers before, it's definitely something you got to check out. I recommend looking in for vintage ales, barley wines. There's a bunch of them that'll say like bourbon aged stouts or things like that. Definitely recommend checking out. And if you end up seeing this, I found this at a Total Wine & More. Try picking it up. This isn't something that you're gonna want to do for a like a bender, but definitely this is something you want to crack open for a fun occasion. And it's meant to get better over time, just like wine. So I actually picked up 2 of these bottles. So I'm doing one right now, and maybe in a couple years we'll crack open the other and we'll compare it to this video. But this is really a piece of art. And the reason why I say it is just because it's so layered. There's so much flavor going on, from the like bourbon side of it to the upfront maltiness of it to like the dark fruit. Like each of the different beers in here are definitely giving a flavor, and each of those flavors are pairing together. So Really impressive stuff here. Highly recommend you check it out. But that's going to do it for this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe. And let me know in the comment section if there's any beer you would like for me to review or check out. With that being said, thanks for watching. I'm Modi, and I'll see you in the next pour.